Hello guys, I'm going to start with the sample class, the new workshop that I'm going to do. This is a sample workshop for this class actually. I'm going to start streaming about the part that we are going to use. This is the base model on a base scene about lighting and product shot rendering. So if you guys are into that, you can join me over here. You can come and see everything. And I hope you guys like it. Just give me a minute. I have to do something real quick. Give me a second. Okay, so we're here again. I hope you guys like the stream, the workshop, and everything that we're trying to do. Try to communicate with me over here on the chat if I'm following you, if you have some questions. This is going to be a weekly workshop that we are going to do, and this is the sample class about the rendering of a bottle with a photographic kind of work. So we're going to work the same way the photographic guy is going to do everything. There's some little tips, some quick things that we're going to try, and I hope you guys like it. I'm going to try to be the most specific that I can with the workshop, and this is the final image that we're going to work on this workshop, at least for the basic one. I'm going to start explaining everything from the lighting and how it's handled to get this result over here, and the smoothness and the glossy values without affecting the reflection of the base material. So if you have some questions on it or everything, just let me know and we are going to start. And as you can see, this is the real render, and I'm not going to show you guys the scene yet. We're going to start making the base scene and working on the scene to make everything and to do everything the way it should be done. So I hope you guys liked, and let's start with the workshop. For this workshop, we don't need to be in Maya. You don't need to be in Maya. You don't need to be specifically on Vray. It's better if you're on Vray, but it's not dependable. So we're going to start with a base scene, and let's get the work done. So I already have some materials. I'm not going to use the materials yet. I'm going to come here and assign base Lambert. So everything right now is with the base Lambert. For this kind of work, and if we take our render or Vray frame buffer that was over here somewhere. I think I lost the frame buffer. I don't care. So let's try to render everything. So if we decide to use that kind of lighting, we need to have the specific exposure for the photographic studio. We need to have a big limitless plane. So we are going to use a plane. It's quite easy to model. If you don't know how to model, the easiest way is to take a cylinder, and once you have your cylinder, just go up and cut the top part, cut everything and just leave the side, and we only need this part. You select the edge, go for extrude, go on top, another edge, and the other side, and now we have an infinite plane. If you want to add some smoothness, try to make divisions on the axis before you go to smooth. Let's try to reverse the normals. But because if you don't do this, it's going to behave weird. When you go for the smooth, it's not going to give you the real value that you need to have here. Also, you can take the top part and move everything. So you have it. And let's start with the work. I shouldn't have done that. This is okay, this is not okay. Okay, so for the basic lighting, we're going to start with the lighting over here. Let's see. Okay, we're going to start making the basic light. The first light that we're going to do is to create lights and create an area light, Vray rec light. For the first Vray rec light, we're going to work as we should on a basic studio. So for a basic studio, we will take this light and have a big light on the side. This is going to be the side light for our Coke. And with the T shortcut, you have an aim, and you can aim your light to the point that you want. So right now I'm going to use, this is behaving weird. I don't have anything here. Okay, sometimes these things just go crazy. Let's try again. Again, we have a light. Yeah, it's working now. You see? So you point your light, you scale your light. You don't have to scale your light with T. You have to scale your light with the B size and the U size. So let's go over here and let's go for 10, I think, and for 30. Right now I have my light, and on the basic camera I'm using a physical camera with a low shutter speed, for shutter speed for 100 and an ISO of 100, because I want a big light and I have to be in a controlled environment. So we're going to make our first render, and it's weird right now. I hate when Vray is working weird, when the windows that I open just are smaller. Okay, so we have the basic light here. It's too bright, so let's get the brightness down just a tint. And right now we have our basic light on the side of our scene. For this, we're not going to do anything else. I have to change my scene, to change my light position to the next side. So I'm going to take the light, I'm going to move my light to the next side, I'm going to duplicate my light and to rotate it with the aim. So I just have to move the light and it's going to go to the other side. I'm going to take my light away. I just wanted to have something like this over here, and maybe a little bit over here. Okay, I want this light to have 120. I don't want the light to have the same amount of intensity that the right light has. I just want this side, this light, to be the filler. So this one, it's going to fill the other light, and I will have a balance. I hate when this thing happen again. I think I need to close I need to close it, because sometimes that's happen. I have to go to render and everything. I don't want to. So right now I have a basic light here. I have a filler and a main light. The main light is going to be the right light, and the filler is going to be on the left. Some people are going to say that they don't like to have that shadow on the butt, but at least for the beginning I'm going to remain using this shadow. Maybe I will move everything and configure everything a little bit different, but for now I'm going to remain with the shadows. After that, I'm going to use the top light. I'm going to work with a 3-point light. For this one, I want to have a light on the side, on each side of the light, and I want light to illuminate this part, just the back part of my render, not the bottle itself. I don't want this light to be on the bottle. I just want this light to illuminate the background. As we are working with refractive materials, we need the light to have something to refract. So you have to use this thing and to have a light that illuminate the back part. So let's move my light over here and try to get the light here. Let's rotate my light, and I want to have a smaller light, thinner light, maybe 5 over here. Okay, and that's it. So we already have a second light. This light is going to be on the other side. So we are okay right now. And the intensity, it's going to be the color. I want the color to be a little bit more orange to have a different mood on the scene. So right now we have a filler, we have a main light on the right, a filler light on the left, and a basic light that has a tint on the background just for color. Once we have everything, we are going to start to work with the new with the shaders. So for the shaders, the first thing that we are going to do, let's get this thing closer, we are going to start to work on the configuration of the shader. So let's go for a glass. Let's clean everything and let's create a Vray MTL. So it's a basic Vray material. Let's name it glass. And on the diffuse color, I'm going to remove everything and go for full refraction and full reflection. So this is a basic glass. It's a perfect glass. I'm not going to do everything yet to the glass, and let's render. So right now we are going to have a weird result. I have my render here, and maybe I should move a little bit the angle of the camera. We can see that on this result we have a basic configuration and we have a nice lighting system, but it's not perfect. If we want the lighting system to be perfect, we have to make some fixes. The first thing that we have to change is the angle, and after that we have to remain and to think what's the deal and what's the important part of our project. When you're making a product shot render, you have to think on which is your product, which is the main part and the thing that you want to advertise from your product. What is the most important part, the soul? With Coke, we have 3 main parts. We have the branding, let's say the name. Everybody knows what's Coke. After that, we have the glass. The Coke bottle or the glass bottle, it's so amazing that it's a top of mind product. Everybody knows a Coke and everybody knows how the Coke takes, and if you see the silhouette of your Coke, of a Coke, and the advertising is just a silhouette, a paste, a blank or a red cutout, you're going to know that that is a Coke. So we have the second part of our product. We have the branding, the name, the logo, and we also have the second part. The second part that we have is the bottle itself is a branding. It's branded by Coke, and if you have a cutout, you are going to know that it's a Coke. So we have 2 parts, and after that it's the content, the liquid, not just the container. So the liquid in a product like the Coke, not maybe a fruit, it's not going to be the same, but for a Coke, the third part, it's the liquid, the container. So we have 3 types or 3 objects that we need to focus for this product. The name, the logo, so it's going to be the label, the glass or the bottle itself, and the liquid that contain. For that we need to think. First, for the label, we don't need too much detail. Everybody knows what it's Coke, and if you see the handwriting, you're going to know that it's Coke. So that's a deal. We need to focus then on the bottle and the content. We need to make everything look tasty. For that, the first part is the Coke and the bottle. If you see this kind of lighting, I'm going to put the material for the coke. I already have the material done, so I'm going to show you how the coke looks with the material and with the basic lighting, right? We're not tweaking everything yet, so this is just basic lighting. Let's see. With a coke, and if we just use the basic configuration for the light, just put both lights on each side and hit render, you're going to have a nice render because Vray does the things right, but you're not going to have anything that can't be done. This is just a basic picture and that's it. So we need to make things right and to enhance the results and to have a right result on the render. For that, we're going to start working on our materials or on our lights. The first part is the reflections. For the reflections, we have two ways to make this thing work: the right way and the wrong way. Most of the guys works the wrong way. When you look for a professional photograph and in a professional studio, you're going to see that the results are not this hard coat and these haircuts and the reflections. This thing is just too hard over here. The best the best reflections that you're going to see on a studio photograph or product shot, it's going to be a diffuse reflection. And most of the guys that are working on 3D, I'm not saying that everybody, are using a misconception for this concept. If you want to have a gloss reflection on your materials, the first thing that everybody has to think or thinks, I don't know why, is to go with the gloss reflection and make everything glossier. So if I take the reflection down, let's save this render, and I'm going to take the reflection glossiness down at just a basic amount. And when I have this result, everyone is like, whoa, that's the result that I wanted, and that's how the pros do it. And that's the result that I saw on the photographic render there. So why? Because everybody thinks that if you go with a glossy value, let's say something, I think the result should be something like this. And if you go for a glossy render value, just like that, if you use this kind of value and has a reflection that looks glossy, it's like, oh my god, I love that reflection. I really, really love the feeling. But if you go to a physical world and you're trying to do a product shot, for product shot, you can't make a mistake on the way the product shot looks. It should be good and it should look physical. So right now it's looking good. I'm not going to say that it's not looking good. But the reflection, it's not physical. You're not having caustics. And if you see in this part, the reflection is glossy also. Most of the renders, and if you go to see real bottles, you're going to have a cut there because the model, it's hard. We have a hard cut over here. We shouldn't be seeing this result. So the real physical value of a Coke bottle, it's not diffuse. Some bottles has, like the old bottles, has this look, but we are not going to look for this look. We are going to use a high reflection glossiness, maybe 0.5. I prefer to use Redshift than Octane. Also, I'm working on 3D on Maya. I'm not working with 3D Max, so I can't use FStorm. FStorm is amazing. It's a great render. The glow that FStorm has is amazing. But Vray, it's has something also. It's not bad. It's getting slower. If we try to compare with another render system, the GPU render systems. I'm using a Vray for this workshop because it's the mainstream. Everybody's using. I can use Octane. I prefer to use Redshift. Octane, it's the support guys on Octane just are awful. They don't care for the community, and FStorm is the perfect example for Octane community. I think it's not that great, but for the sake of the example, it's not render independent. It's the same configuration, and even it's better if you do everything on Redshift, or if you everything. Yeah, yeah. The thing that I don't think it's the quality of the engine itself for Octane. I think that it's the GPU rendering system. When you work on GPU, it's amazing the speed that you're going to have on your render. So let's see if I can make this thing. I haven't tried this scene actually. Maybe this wasn't the one that I want. I haven't tried this scene with Vray RT. Let's try it out. Let's see if it's working. So yeah, but this scaling settings I'm using for this one Vray 3.1, so it's not actually working with the subsurface scaling settings that I had. So I have to upgrade, but for this kind of a scene I'm half working with everything. Yeah, but yeah, CPU is in the past. For most of the basic scenes, yeah. If you're using a basic scene for like something like small, if you're not using particles, if you're not using high-end things, if you're not using too much materials on your scene, yeah, GPU rendering, it's everything. Octane has the out-of-core memory, so that's great for Octane. And Vray, it's working and everything. They are trying, but they are, I think they are having the same sickness that Mental Ray has or had like 8 years ago. It was a great render system, but then they couldn't handle the changes to the new technologies and they got behind. So that's sad, because Vray was amazing and it's amazing, but the new render system, the Redshift, Octane, Corona, they're killing everything. So yeah, they're trying everything. Let's see. Let me show. Oh yeah, this guy's he's amazing. He's amazing. This guy just won the Animago for best image, and also he shared the telephone model and the astronaut model, so you can actually try everything. Yeah, it's the same it's the same behavior. It was Mental Ray, now Vray, and now the technology is changing again, so we are moving again to something different, and we are moving to GPU. So I have tried Octane for Maya, and I didn't like it. It was like, it's fast. The render system itself is fast, but trying to use it on my workflow, it was too slow. And when I tried Redshift on my workflow, it was amazingly fast. And it's so easy to use, and the support guys on Redshift are amazing. You ask for something and in 2 hours you have your answer. If you couldn't, or maybe even the guys on the forum are going to help you. And Nikos and Panos, the guys from Redshift, are amazing also. So yeah, we are changing to GPU everything. For big productions, it's not yet, but yeah, you can do high quality fast renders on one PC, and no longer do you need to workstation or farm. Yeah, the cost wise, the GPU render are unbelievable. If you spend like, I don't know, 1070 GTX and 1070, that it's one of the best for GPU rendering, even over the 1080. I don't know why. Most of the results that we are seeing is that the 1070 it's better, than the 1080. So it's cost wise, it's quite cheap to get a new card or both cards than to have a new workstation, a new server with 24 cores, and you have a faster render system. So yeah, it's amazing. Redshift and Octane, they're doing. Yeah, I agree. It's sad. It happened the same when I had to change from Mental Ray to Vray. I really love the way Mental Ray was. I think it's. We all know that they are dying, sort of dying. I hope Vray can do something. Mental Ray couldn't. So we all have like some feelings for these guys, but yeah, they're dying. So this workflow that I'm trying to show here, it's going to be faster on GPU. It's quite great to use everything on GPU. So getting again on the workflow, if you see this render and the part that it's not that right, if you go for a studio rendering, you're going to see that the reflections here are not right, or you are not going to get the right result. Let's see on Instagram. Yeah, that's Redshift, actually. Nope, Redshift. This one is on Redshift, and let me see, and the bunny. It's not the bunny, it's, let me show you. Let's go to my page. And the mouse is on Redshift. Right now I'm hanging most on Redshift. The buffalo guy, it's on Vray, and the mouse is on Redshift, one of the latest that I have been working on. Let me put everything. Yeah, this guy is on Redshift also, and this guy, it's on Vray. Let me see. I have tried RenderMan, but I don't know why I can't work with RenderMan. It's weird for me. It's like, I don't know. I just can't. So I tried it, but I just don't know how to get into RenderMan. I lost it. RenderMan won over me. It's the same with Blender. I tried and I really like the software. The guys are doing some great work with Blender, but I don't know. I'm not that good. I'm some sort of a good. I'm just trying to share. I have a hard time getting works done. So I have a lot of commercial works, but I never have the time to make my own work to the finish line. This is one of my latest works. So it's the buffaloes on Vray. I never finished that work, and the mouse is on Redshift. It's amazing render system. It's like a 6K render, and it took like 1 hour with that amount of hair. So I really love how the render system is done, how Redshift work and everything. So it's great. Right now we have that problem. We have the bad configuration here, and we have this. That's an old render. Okay, we have. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. So we have this problem here. The hard reflections. We actually on a photographic studio, we are not going to have the ability to change the configuration for our material. So right now I changed it, the glossy reflections just a tiny bit, to have just a little diffuse on the borders, but that's not the final deal that we are going to work or we want to have. So what's the solution for that? That's the Coca-Cola, actually, yeah. So Gamer, thank you for following me. How did I make it? They're particles. There are just particles and an emitter from the bottom, just emitting particles inside. And each particle has the same material than the Coke, so the refraction goes over the bottle, and we have air. So they are actually animated, and it was an animation, when it hit the bottle on the floor, on the table, it just emits some particles, and that was it. For the reflection, what I have to do here is to create a softbox. Most of the guys tend to use, let me hide this, tend to use a softbox image on the rectex, or an image on the side of the light. So they try to emit the side of the light, or the light itself, with an image. I have an HDR with a gradient, so this is a softbox, and I'm going to render this with a softbox. Everybody thinks that this is the correct way to work when you want diffuse lighting. But if you are working on a real physical studio, and did you make the soda by adjusting fog by? Yeah, I'm working with fog. It's actually a Vray MTL. And if you guys use for the reflection, for the emission of the light, image to project your softbox, first you need to adjust the lighting, maybe 16. So yeah, so you're going to have your correct lighting or your correct behavior, but if you look for your light, you're going to have the same size and the same shape that you have on your final light. This is not the way that it should happen, and this is not the way that the physical studio for lighting should have. So what I like to do is not to make everything over here, and if you want to change, and most of the guys what tend to do is to change the amount intensity when you want less or more lighting. Used to do game art full time, but I'm branching out into commercial 3D. I could learn so much from you. I hope you continue streaming. This is very exciting. Thank you so much. I'm going to try to continue streaming. I have like some freelances over here. I have a full-time job and a lot of freelances, so I try to stream the most of my free time. Let's see if I can get something out of here. My goal is to stream to 2 to 3 times a week, so I hope you guys are over here. I will try to have a lot of content and something like this each week. This is going to be a workshop, so it's a full workshop, $49 with the scenes and everything. But for Vray, I can make everything. For Redshift also, for Mentor Ray, I don't want to, but I could. And for Maxwell Render, I don't have a license for obtain, so maybe I could, maybe on the future. And so let's get back over here. I will try to do everything. If you have some questions, I will love to answer them. And what I like to do is to think that my commercial world, my product shot, it's like a physical studio lighting. So for a physical studio lighting, I don't have this light. I have a square light. So I'm going to work for a 2020 light over here. So I have a square. After that, I need to have a softbox. Thank you. That will be awesome. I really have like low exposure. I'm beginning with the streams, and at first I was doing some streams in Spanish, but it wasn't that great, and I prefer to move to speak in English. I'm not that great, but at least I can communicate. So I will try to keep the content in English and the most, and also I will try to upload everything to YouTube, at least the streams that I can. So on a studio, on a photographic studio, you're going to have a softbox, and also the guys are using every texture and everything that they want. So maybe you're using a tissue, or I have seen people using toilet paper, some papers that has transmission. So you can actually have a physical distance and a physical way to work Thank you so much. I would like to have more viewers actually. And if you are working on a studio lighting, you are going to want to change your light behaviors, and most of the people what do is to change the intensity of your lights. You shouldn't change the intensity of your lights when you already have the amount. You're not going to go on a studio light and change it each time that you need a new light configuration. You're not going to change your light itself. What you do is to move the lights or to adjust the ISO and the shutter speed. So right now what I am going to do is to work with a diffuser. For that diffuser, it's really basic actually. I'm going to work with a two-sided material, and Vray two-sided. This Vray two-sided increase the light samples to the reducing it. The light samples, no. What I like to do, okay, when you're working with a diffuser, you're not going to work with light samples. You're going to work with DI. When the light, let me explain. Let me create the diffuser first, and I'm going to explain after that. So you have the diffuser. We're going to use transmission and translucency. So we're going to create a basic Vray MTL. Vray MTL. And I'm not going to change anything to the Vray MTL. I'm just going to put the material on the front. I'm going to change to diffuser. Thank you so much, Miss Carba, for following us. Thank you. So we're going to change. Thank you so much. So we're going to change. Let me see. Some people is. Some people is asking me about the stream on Facebook, so I'm going to share the link. Okay. Here I am again. Sorry. So for this part, I'm going to use this material. So that's a diffuser. It's a Vray MTL two-sided material to use for the translucency, and I'm going to use it, the basic one, the basic Vray MTL, and a basic material here. And this material, it's the one that I'm going to use for the diffuser. I'm going to select it, go for existing material and diffuse, and I'm going to save this render, and I'm going to render again. So you're going to see that right now we are working on a complete different level that we have when we use an HDR for the lighting configuration. When we were using the HDR, let me see, it wasn't this one. It got stuck. Okay, this is the one. When we were using the HDR configuration, we have the same shape that the light has. So we are fixed to that shape. We are fixed to that flat square. It's just one face, and the size we're fixed to the HDR configuration. So we have to change the HDR if we want to change the way that the reflection looks. So it's not doable when you're working on a product shot and a real light product shot. So this way you have a real live setup configuration. And what if I want the light to be less? Okay, when you're working on a real life studio and you want your light to emit less amount of light, and you don't want to affect the second light, if you change your ISO, you're going to make everything darker or brighter. And if you want your light to be dimmer, just this light, you're not going to change everything, and you're not going to go to change the bulb. What you're going to do is to move your light away. When you move your light away, you have the same configuration for your lighting, you have your same configuration for your exposure on your camera, but you can actually change the way that the light works and the way that the amount of light is affecting your scene and the reflections. So you're using a diffuser to change the light with a translucency setting, and you have a different amount and different configurations for your light, and you can actually change the way the light behaves just changing the position of your light, and it's not going to affect the way that the reflection looks because the diffuser is on the same position. If you do this with the HDRI texture, you're not going to have the possibility to do something like that because the light is going to go smaller, so that reflection it's going to be smaller on some parts. So you're not going to change only the exposure, it's going to work differently. So right now we have a basic reflection and it's working quite great. And if I want to have the same configuration and the same brightness, but I don't want to move my light, I can also change the translucency setting. If I make my translucency setting higher or brighter, I am going to have a brighter light and less diffusion. But if I change the translucency setting to the other side, so it's not that translucency, I have a bigger possibility to remain on the same side with the material, so it's almost like a plane. Actually, I'm going to have a less diffusion and I'm going to have almost a reflection. So I can configure the amount of reflection and the diffuseness of my reflection just with the setting for the diffuser and also the position. And if I want a different configuration or a more interesting reflection, I can change the shape, and it's the shape of my diffuser that is the one that is changing. So I'm having different light configurations just with the diffuser. So I'm not going to lose the way it works, I'm not going to lose the amount of light, and I'm going to have the possibility to change everything here. Why I'm having this noise was one of the questions. If I go up with the light samples, I'm going to have a bigger render time, and I don't want to do that. And with Vray right now, Vray from 3.1 and up, no, 3.2 and up, you don't have to change anything on the sub-disc. Blado did a great work there. I think it should be a great work. And everything changed automatically now. So if you move the threshold, you're going to have a noise-free render. So it's great, actually. That part, at least, you now don't have to think that you need to change everything and go over to try your sub-disc here, maybe the sub-disc on your material, on your reflection material. I'm using a basic 8 sub-disc on everything. And if I go up and I bring the threshold a little bit down, it's going to have a better render time. And it's you're seeing it, I'm rendering quite fast. So it's great, and it's not that great as GPU rendering. Again, as we said before, if I were using Octane or Redshift, this render will be like done almost right now. So I have some kind of love for this, but if you just change your threshold, you don't need to change anymore the other amounts. And right now we're working mostly with diffusion and with GI. When you use this system, a diffuser, you're not, there's a bad part. It's not perfect. If you want to compose with passes, you have to think that if I go to lighting, I have my right light and my backlight, but the light that is passing through my diffuser, it's going to be on GI. So why? Because right now when I produce my direct lighting, it's working something like this. I produce my direct lighting, this is lighting, but when I change this part to work with a diffuser, what I'm doing is telling the diffuser that the light it's not perfect anymore, and it's to make the light diffuse. So after this part, when it goes through the paper or the diffuser or the softbox, I'm having GI. So for passes configuration, it's something that you have to take into account. And if I want to remove now my noise, I should go up on GI instead of samples here. So that's something that it has to take into account. But it's quite great to see the result, and we have a nice result, and we have a nice configuration. I'm going to change this light to have a rectext. For this one I want a rectext, a basic rectext that it's my gradient, my HDR gradient. Because I want some smoothness over this side, I have to take up my brightness also. I will show you why in a second. Because the color is a little dimmer right now after I make the light pass over the tissue. So this gray should be better, and after I do the change over there I have less light also. So I'm going to change the exposure. So right now what I did, it's that I don't have to go over with the lights. The lights has the right configuration. So what I should do is to change the way that the camera is looking at the model. Like on the real studio, if I want to make everything brighter, I should make my ISO higher. But for a product shot, the ISO should be lower as you can. If you are trying to really work as a studio, and a physical studio. So you should do the work that way. And what you should do is to move the shutter speed lower, so you can actually have your shutter speed to remain open much time, or a bigger amount of time, and more light is going to come to the film, and you're going to see your render brighter. So that's a way to fix the way it works. And now you can see that we have this smooth reflections here. Remember that we don't have anything or maps or anything over here. We have a diffuser, and you can see that it's great here. You can actually do everything on Octane. On Octane it's going to be better. On a GPU render, this it's like as fast as it can, because you can do a brute force render. And right now I'm using indirect lighting for GI. I'm not using brute force. I'm using, I can't remember, invariance map on light cache. So it's not actually that great, but with GPU render like Redshift or Octane, you can do brute force here. So it's going to be perfect, the result there. And if you go over to see the reflection pass, you're going to see that we have this smoothness, and you can actually feel, almost touch, let's go to reflect, almost touch the bottle. This is the feeling that we were looking for. If we go for the first render, you're going to see this is the render with no diffuser. This is the render with the diffuse on texture, right? We're using an HDR here, and on the right side we're using a diffuser, so a softbox, but a real physical softbox that we are making here, like a physical way. You can actually have, yeah, it's the same principle for all render system. The only back down here is that if you're working with an older render system, it's going to be lower, because we are using GI and translucency to simulate the real behavior of a softbox. So it can take a toll on the render time, but it applies for all render system and for all 3D programs actually. So this is a complete technique that you can use. It's a physical studio technique, so you can really use everything. And the reflection here, you can configure everything. That's for reflection. And if you see this part here, this little reflection that it's bringing like a ring light, actually I'm not using a ring light. What this reflection is that I have this light here emitting an amount of light. Let me show like something like this. This part, a little amount of light, it's hitting this wall. And when this light jumps over here, I'm having a brighter light and a brighter reflection here than here, because it's a direct reflection. I'm not having a diffuser like here, but I'm having a direct reflection. So this part over here is that reflection. So I have a basic rim light there, and it's a natural rim light. If I go and make this guy bigger over here, something like this, I'm going to save this render to show you guys the difference. If I make that guy over there bigger, I'm not going to have that rim light. I'm going to remove that rim light from my rendering. Maybe I should just render this part. So if I change the size of the diffuser, as you saw there, I lost that rim light. I lost a lot of detail there. I had a great rim, and it when you're working with product shot, you have to make the silhouette. It's the thing that I was speaking at the beginning. We have 3 parts on each product shot, at least on something like this. We have the branding, the name, the logo, the label. We have the model, the container, the bottle in this side, and the liquid that is contained. That we have 3 parts on that product. That rim light is to focus on the bottle, the second most important product. So the size of our diffuser has a lot of meanings, and you can also actually change a lot of things and work different ways. So I really like to leave a gap between the plane and the softbox. That way you can have a mix between both, and you can have that amazing rim light that we have been seeing over here, that enhance the detail, and you can see the perfect render that we have there. Also, I not only have that rim light there, the reflection is not the only that we have a great deal. We have the refraction. We see that diffuse refraction of the bottle. So that way, when you have the high refractions, the diffuse refraction here, and this perfect like glowish thing, you're going to have this result. So it looks amazing. It's great to see this result over here, and it's going to enhance a lot the detail of your lighting. So that's the first part. After that, we have to change some things on the render. We have the back. If we want to have detail on the liquid, on the content of the bottle, that is the third object, or the third main part of the container, we need to have something to refract. Right now, let me go to look for the render. We have a basic gradient. If I go to the refract, the only thing that I have is the plane over here. It's boring. I have to fix this also. Remember me to fix this. And it's boring. I don't have an interesting configuration there. I don't like it. So what I tend to do is to take the basic lighting here and to cheat the program. I have been saying a studio lighting and physical configuration. Okay, that's great, but we are working with 3D. So we have 3D things. So I'm going to cheat the program. I'm going to create a cylinder here. It's my lovely cylinder. And let me move to see where's the bottle. Okay. And this guy, I'm going to delete everything. And I'm just going... Are you mainly lighting manually, or do you use tools to help you usually? I like to use manual lighting. I don't like to work with tools. I think I'm old school. So I'm old school. I really like the lighting system and the configuration when you can really work with your own lights, and you know that you have your own system and your renders are not like everyone else. So I have some rigs that I have done, but most of the time I work with my own lighting system. I go do my own gradients and use my own textures. I don't like the automated systems too much. I don't know. So again, with this one, I'm going to do smooth over here to have more shapes. I'm going to show you why. I'm going to take this part over here and to have this guy behind the bottle. Why I want this guy behind the bottle? Okay. Let's see. I have to change everything over here. That's it. So I'm going to make it something like this, and I'm going to put the same material that I'm using for the diffuser. I'm going to put this material to my base plane. You're going to say, okay, but I'm going to see that thing in render. It's going to look awful. No, you go and you say, okay, I don't want you to cast shadows. I don't want you to receive shadows, and I don't want you to be visible. So this little guy is only visible on smooth on reflections and refractions. So you're only going to see him through the liquid and through the bottle, and not going to see him actually. After that, I'm going to take my light. I'm going to move my light over here and maybe 5 again. And I'm going to put this little guy behind. I'm going to move everything in here. 2, 2, and 8. Okay? So I'm going to move this guy over here, and I'm going to use this little guy on as a diffuser working. Let me work straight with this and make this thing look to the camera. So I'm going to make this guy illuminate the diffuser, and I'm going to remove just some of these guys. I'm going to make another smooth, and I'm going to remove some guys over here to make the light pass through some, not through everybody. So I have some holes, and I'm working on a more interesting refraction here. And I'm going to select my light and make my light invisible. So I'm not going to see this light. This light is going to work only through the render. And I'm going to hit render. So right now, I'm having a great reflection. I know some parts are not working. First, I need this guy to be invisible through the bottle. So I don't want this guy to be visible through the liquid itself. So let's go over here and maybe here. So I have the bottle. And also I'm going to break like links. I don't want this light to work with the floor, so I'm going to break like links. For that I go to rendering, light links, and break like links. Now this light is not working or not affecting the floor. So that's a deal there. The only bad part is that we are going to have the GI part of that. I can remove the GI, but not for this sample lesson for the workshop. As I said before, this is a real workshop that I'm doing. I have 5 different scenes, not just this one. And as you can see, right now we have a really interesting work, and we have a great configuration for the refractions. We have refractions. We have a way to move the work inside the bottles. I have to change some things. I have to make the material a little better. The material for the coke, for the liquid. And the intensity maybe is too much of intensity. I prefer to have a lower volume intensities. So let's change something here. I'm going back with a little bit, and I'm going to make the intensity to go lower and the light to go brighter. I want white lights. I don't care there are perfect white lights. So let's go to 50. And let's render this guy again. So with this configuration, you're going to have interesting reflections on your coke. So the liquids, actually, you can cheat the system. You have a physical configuration. It's so physical on the sides that if you put behind the little guy, behind your liquid, some weird textures and some weird planes diffusing your light, you are going to cheat the viewer, because we are not used to calculate how the light works behind our refractions. They are too complex to work, and we are not used to know how the refractions work. So you can actually cheat the eyes to make the refractions look interesting, and with a more basic configurations here. So you're going to see this great work and some nice shapes and everything. So when you have everything like this, I'm going to cancel this render. We can see the configuration. We can see the work. Let me see over here. You can see that it's so much interest. It's really different the way the light behaves when you have something to show. And we have a gradient here, and we have a configuration here. So it's working great. And now let's change the material. I have already the materials done, so it's not that big deal over there. For the workshop, I do some materials with you guys. For the guys for that workshop, it's a $50 workshop that I have been working on. So I give the scenes and everything for you guys to work. That's weird. That was the bottle material. Let me see. I think maybe this is the one for there, and that's it. Let's see. Yeah. So let's make the render with the texture as it should be like. I don't know what you guys are thinking. Are you there? So with that configuration, we have interesting refractions, and we have some light configurations. We have a great sight, and the refractions are great. The reflections are great also. And my portfolio site, yep. This one. And also, yeah. Yeah, you can add me on Facebook, or you can write me to my mail. Most of the time I'm on Facebook, so it's easier that way. That's my mail also, and my Facebook. Let me see. That's my Facebook. So as you can see, we have a great product, and the refractions are not that great yet. I have to fix some lighting issues. I have to fix some parts, and let's see. I think that I need to make my light there brighter. It was too low, maybe 80. And also I should make the liquid of the Coke for the refraction glossiness a little bit dimmer with the refraction glossiness. Why? Because it was too refractive, and I didn't like this shape over there. So I want it to be a little bit more foggy. Just a tiny bit more foggy. I have to fix the bounces over here. It's too much. You should give a sleep for my... Yeah, actually I have been seeing some works from this guy. I should try sleep. I haven't. I should. I have to. Yeah, I have to. I have to try so many great things. Yeah, I need to. I'm trying to learn to work with Surface. No, Surface is... what's the name? I forgot the name. The program for texturing. Program for texturing. No, it's... Do you guys have a... I cancelled the render. Okay, let's render again. Big program for games and from texture that have particles and everything. I forgot the name. Substance Painter. I am learning Substance Painter right now. So it's a big program. So I'm trying to mix everything with the grooming tools, and I have a lot of grooms right now working, and trying to get the workshop and everything.